the longest single-day unpaced cycle race in the world is already on its way through a sleeping London. The 5 a.m. start has been preceded by steak breakfasts, and the field of 40 are warming up to the task ahead. Mostly semi-professional, the bunch contains many of our top riders. The favourite is Yorkshireman Albert Hitchin of the Falcon Cycles team. Hitchin won this race in 1961 and was second in 1962, but apart from his own teammates, the rest of the field will be out to stop him. Just after 6 o'clock, as the field takes the big climb into St Albans with nearly 25 miles covered. The steepness fails to break them up, and they press on into a cold but promising morning with the mist and heavy dew hanging around the hedges and the country lanes. The pressure mounts a little as they pass through Dunstable, despite the knowledge that the race is 13 miles longer this year, due to a detour because of roadworks, and makes the total distance 278 miles. Of the Mottram team gets the first puncture of the day, but he's soon off again in hot pursuit, getting the traditional helping push from the service mechanics, and as the Chief Marshal drops back to see that he's all right, helps himself to some food. A small group have got themselves off the front of the main field, and they're getting about keeping clear with many an anxious backward glance. Dave Hamilton of the Woodrup Ovaltine up at the front, pushing on the pressure a little bit, trying to keep things clear as the early morning supporters come out to see the riders go through. The riders are still attacking, with Alan Jacob going up to the front with his team colleague Mick Coward helping to pace him along as they come through, still with a long, long way to go on this road to Holyhead. Through the early morning mist and another little breakaway clear, but not clear by very, very much, and the main field coming through immediately behind them, trying to make sure that they don't get too far in advance of them. Tony Mills of the Royal Wrexham team is the next victim of a puncture, but the mechanics are not fast enough for Mills' liking, and it's probably a good job that his comments have not been recorded live. Eddie White of Mottram's decides to go it alone, but the bunch leave him to it, deciding that with 200 miles still to go, he won't make it without company, and will only weaken himself by producing such an effort at this early stage. 10 miles further on, and White is still on his own, with the main field again not bothering to chase, and he has a lead of about 20 seconds. But his somewhat laborious style of riding seems to take a lot of effort. A small group has now detached itself from the main field, not much in it at the moment, as they negotiate a roundabout, with White having gone through a little earlier. You can see how easily they take the corners. Motor traffic has to slow down, but these experienced racing men go through at about 20 miles an hour. "76 miles have gone, and the riders collect their second breakfast of hot tea, meat sandwiches, hard-boiled eggs and fresh fruit. And it goes down very well too. Of the Falcon team leads the bunch up one of the many hills on this long ride to Holyhead. The pressure is on again now, but White is still out on his own and has no one to talk to for the past 15 miles, but perhaps receives some encouragement from the crowds who are beginning to arrive at the various points en route. Paisley now, with some more spectators, and still tightly bunched, all quite content to stay as they are. They're maintaining a steady average speed, and this will eventually tell on the weaker riders. Everyone now ready and waiting at the second feeding station, which is on the detour section of the race, and it's John Perks of the Falcon team who goes through holding a minute's lead, with Eddie White back in the main field after his lone 20 miles. The riders are now on the detour section on the outskirts of Wolverhampton, and already 130 miles have gone as they pass along this stretch of road watched by many people who never expected to see it. Normally the race stays on the A5, but because of roadworks this extra 13 miles has had to be added on, and now Bernard Burns at the front takes up the running in pursuit of his colleague John Perks. Perks is still away as he turns onto the Holyhead Road with 124 miles still to go. The crowd shout their encouragement and wait for the bunch to come through. As they slow at the corner, some of them throw away empty feeding bottles, which will be picked up by the many souvenir hunters at the roadside. Disaster strikes. White collides with a parked scooter and brings down another rider, Mick Coward. The travelling ambulance is close at hand, and after a quick examination, plus the application of some sticking plaster, the two diehards are ready to press on. There goes Coward, and now White, with most of the skin missing from the fingers of his right hand, gets a helping push. Here's Perks now, just leaving oaken gates behind him, but the bunch are closing the gap very fast, and the Falcon rider will soon be caught. The speed is now just that little bit faster, and about 10 men have retired. Over the bridge and onto the Shrewsbury bypass, with the leading trio just staying clear of the main field. It's midday now, and they've been racing for 7 hours, but the hardest part is still to come. Good flat racing roads, but suddenly there's another break, and it's Pete Riles and Kevin Fairhead who get clear. 25 miles together, and as they enter Wales to fight for the prize for the first man up this steep climb at Chirk Bank, it's a very close thing, and the honours go to Riles, who comes off Fairhead's back wheel to take the award. Now the interest centres on who will be up next, and it's Bill Holmes and Tony Mills who've decided that even with 75 miles still to go, the leaders should not be allowed to stay away. 1:10, says the church clock, as the bunch climb into Chirk, a good 10 minutes ahead of schedule and about 2 minutes down on the leading brake. Riles has dropped back, but Fairhead keeps going, setting a fast pace of about 30 miles an hour. Recognised more as a time trialist than a road racing man, he presses on. Riles sits up, content with winning the Chirk Bank Preem, and takes it easy, waiting for Holmes and Mills to join him and share the work. Three together are moving fast in their attempts to pull back the lone Fairhead, with the bunch about a minute behind them. Bill Holmes, winner of the 1961 Tour of Britain, takes a drink with Riles just behind him and Mills coming into view. Fairhead, still pounding away at the pedals, quite content, and as he looks back down the road, he's no doubt very pleased to find no one in sight as he takes a welcome drink from a wayside supporter. Through Llangollen, the trio are now chasing hard in pursuit fashion, realising there is just the possibility that Fairhead could stay away to the finish. But it's not to be. The four of them now join forces soon afterwards, and as the final feeding station is reached, Fairhead is dropped, and Holmes, Mills and Riles take their last feed, with Fairhead, a very tired man now, in fourth place. Bill Bradley, twice winner of the Tour of Britain and twice amateur champion, comes through ahead of the bunch, desperately trying to get with the leaders, and refuses the last chance of food. And just watch him go. One of the older men in top-class cycling today, he is also one of the toughest, and uses his head as well as his legs. Hitchin at the front of the bunch, and he is now soon to make the effort which will carry him up to the breakaway, now a good minute clear. Well into Wales now, the four leaders, but the bunch are closing the gap a little, and it's still very much anybody's race, except for the unfortunate Fairhead, who retires in a few more miles. Descending into Swallow Falls at 40 miles an hour near Betws-y-Coed, the breakaway numbers 5, but the bunch are in hot pursuit. And as you'll see in a few moments, despite interference by other traffic, manoeuvre their machines superbly on the corner. On the hard 5-mile climb up to Capel Currig, the break is down to 4. Pete Edwards, Albert Hitchin, Bill Holmes and Tony Mills, who you see now. They're all suffering, especially the last two, who've done a lot of the work earlier on. Halfway up the climb now, a good 45 seconds clear with Edwards leading, then comes Holmes, Hitchin and Mills, swinging now right up the hill through a sleepy Welsh hamlet. Nearing the summit, there's only 3. Edwards has been dropped, approaching the line for the special prize, and Mills comes forward to take it, with the other 2 conserving their energy for bigger things. Behind them, about a minute down, is a bunch of about 10 men, all that's really left in the race, with 42 miles still to go. The humid weather is about to break as the storm clouds gather over the Snowdonia range. Pouring rain cools the leaders as they ride through the Nant Franken Pass to the applause of campers and climbers. They take the long descent into Bangor, now nearly 2 minutes clear. The rain has made the road slippery, but still the trio keep up the pressure, and they turn right out of Bangor and over the Menai Bridge for the last 25 miles. The cloudburst has scattered the waiting crowd in Bethesda as the bunch come through now, trying hard to pull back their deficit of nearly 2 minutes. At the Menai Bridge, Bradley again makes an effort and gets clear with Riles as the race enters its final phase. Across the Isle of Anglesey, Holmes keeps at the front, setting the pace for the other 2. All are now suffering from their efforts, but Holyhead is getting nearer. So they continue. Mills grimacing and holding on, knowing that to lose contact would be the end for him. You can tell from Holmes' face what it's like, and now they're in the last 10 miles of torture. Into Holyhead now, less than a mile from the line, and taking the sharp left-hand bend which brings them onto the Newry beach and a quarter of a mile from the finish. Over the last few hundred yards, Hitchin's sprint carries him to the front and victory, with Holmes second and Mills third. Their time for the 278 miles, 11 hours, 47 minutes and 6 seconds. Holmes' face tells the story of this grueling ride as Bill Bradley comes in alone for a well-deserved 4th place, 3 minutes down. And now, a minute later, 20 men together in the sprint for 5th place, storming in over the final lung-bursting half-mile, jostling, pushing for position, elbows out, heads down, and all ready for a 30-mile-an-hour sprint finish, with Bernard Burns of the Falcon team bringing victory for them in the team race, taking the 5th position. And a lot of tired men afterwards, and a long, long drink for everybody. It doesn't take long to get one's breath back, and Hitchin mounts the victory rostrum to collect the winner's sash for the 2nd time in his career.